Welcome to XRP Pro Ledger, and today we are going deep on something that most people in this market are completely missing. Tether just froze $515 million in a single month. Between April and May 7th of 2026 alone, 371 wallet addresses blacklisted. Gone, just like that. And the mainstream crypto media is treating this like a routine compliance update. But what they are missing, and what we are going to break down completely today, is what this actually means for the $140 billion stablecoin that the entire crypto market is still sitting on. And at the 6-minute mark, I'm going to give you the exact confirmation that Ripple's own SVP gave at Consensus 2026 this week that ends the biggest debate in this community permanently. Stay with me until then, because it changes everything. Because here is what nobody is connecting right now. While Tether is quietly becoming the most powerful financial surveillance tool in global finance, freezing funds on behalf of OFAC and the US Department of Justice, the institutions that need clean, compliant, untouchable liquidity are already moving. And the place they are moving to is sitting directly on the XRP ledger. JPMorgan, Mastercard, BlackRock, Deutsche Bank, LMAX Group, all of them already there. Today we are breaking down the complete picture, what $515 million in frozen funds actually signals, and exactly how every dollar leaving Tether creates a direct pathway into RLUSD and XRP. Let us start with what Tether actually is in 2026, because it is no longer what most people think it is. Tether began as a neutral stablecoin, a dollar equivalent that anyone could hold and move without interference. That positioning is gone. Between April and May 7th, Tether blacklisted 371 addresses and froze $515 million in USDT. The majority of that, 98%, was on the Tron network. And the single largest action was a $344 million freeze on April 23rd, executed in direct coordination with OFAC in the US Department of Justice. To put that in perspective, Tether has now frozen $4.4 billion in total assets since it gained this capability. That is not a compliance department doing routine checks. That is a programmable financial surveillance layer operating at institutional scale on behalf of global law enforcement. And here is the question every serious institution is now asking internally. If Tether can freeze $344 million in a single action, what stops them from freezing yours? That question is not theoretical. It is driving real capital allocation decisions at the highest levels of global finance right now. The MiCA enforcement across the European Union is accelerating this. EU platforms are already restricting USDT liquidity pairs for retail users due to compliance gaps. Several exchanges are actively offboarding non-compliant stablecoin exposure, and the UK is moving faster than most people realize. Treasury's consultation on bringing stablecoins into the formal payment services regime closes on May 22, 2026. The regulatory walls around unaudited centralization risk stablecoins are closing from every direction simultaneously. Now, everything I just covered is only the danger side of this story. What is coming next is the opportunity side, and these numbers are much bigger. Now let us talk about where the clean money is going, because this is where the XRP story gets very interesting very fast. RLUSD is Ripple's regulated stablecoin, 100% backed, audited by Deloitte, and as of early May 2026, its market cap has reached $1.56 billion. That number sounds modest compared to Tether's $140 billion, but the institutions holding RLUSD are not modest. BlackRock's BUIDL tokenized fund is using RLUSD for redemption and settlement. Deutsche Bank has integrated Ripple infrastructure for cross-border wires using RLUSD. LMAX Group, an $8.2 trillion institutional trading platform, has adopted RLUSD as core collateral. OKX listed RLUSD across 280 spot pairs and as institutional margin collateral on April 29th. SBI Holdings in Japan is rolling out RLUSD payment services in 2026. And then there is the development that should be getting far more attention than it is. Mastercard, JPMorgan Connexus, and Ondo Finance settled tokenized US treasuries on the XRP ledger using RLUSD in under 5 seconds. Read that again. JPMorgan and Mastercard settling US treasuries on the XRP ledger in 5 seconds. This is not a white paper. This is not a roadmap. This happened. Analysts are now projecting that if RLUSD reaches a $5 to $10 billion market cap, it could catalyze an additional $50 to $100 billion in XRP market cap through increased burn rates and liquidity pair demand. And that brings us to the confirmation I promised you at the start, the one that ends the biggest debate in this community permanently. There is a narrative circulating in parts of this community that RLUSD will eventually sideline XRP, that once institutions have a regulated stablecoin on the ledger, they no longer need the native asset. Ripple's own SVP of stablecoins just ended that conversation directly. Jack McDonald at Consensus 2026 on May 9th confirmed this explicitly. Every single XRPL activity involving RLUSD requires the native XRP asset. Transaction fees, ledger operations, large transfers, all of it runs on XRP. No exceptions, no workarounds. His framing was precise. XRP is the essential grease in the wheels of every RLUSD transaction on the ledger. That means RLUSD growth is not competing with XRP utility. RLUSD growth is XRP utility. Every dollar that flows into RLUSD on the XRP ledger creates mandatory operational demand for XRP. Every institutional migration from Tether to RLUSD, every Deutsche Bank wire, every BlackRock redemption, every JPMorgan treasury settlement generates non-discretionary XRP transaction activity. And this week added another layer to that demand picture. Ripple Payments Europe, confirmed as one of only 14 active electronic money institutions in Luxembourg, just received full passporting rights across all 27 EU countries. That is access to the 116 trillion euro non-cash payments market. With XRP and RLUSD at the center of the rails, the ETF picture is moving in the same direction. XRP Spot ETF recorded a net inflow of $34.21 million in the first week of May alone. Institutional capital is not waiting for a signal, it is already arriving. So let us zoom out and see the complete picture that is assembling right now in May 2026. Tether is under simultaneous pressure from three directions. US law enforcement using it as a programmable freeze tool, EU MiCA compliance forcing platform de-risking, and UK regulatory deadlines closing in by May 22nd. At the same time, RLUSD is being quietly integrated into the core settlement infrastructure of JPMorgan, Mastercard, BlackRock, and Deutsche Bank. With XRP confirmed as the non-optional operational layer underneath every single transaction, the XRP ledger now has full EU passporting rights targeting 116 trillion euros in non-cash payments. XRP ETF inflows are running at $34 million per week, and XRP is trading at $1.45, still the fourth largest cryptocurrency in the world. The institutions are not watching this from the sidelines, they are already inside. The retail market is still looking at a sideways chart and waiting for a reason to be confident. The institutions are settling US treasuries on this ledger right now. That gap between what the price shows and what the infrastructure shows, that is where the opportunity lives. If this analysis changed how you were thinking about XRP and RLUSD, hit like and subscribe. I drop deep dive breakdowns like this twice a day to keep you ahead of the move.